Do you want KDs and kill games like this in a simple game mode such as TDM in Infinite Warfare?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you stay till the end of the video as I'll be breaking down my best tips and tricks on how I do this consistently and overall improve my KD each and every time I play Infinite Warfare. Yo, what is going on guys, my name's Carnage Machine and today guys I've got you another video back on the channel for Infinite Warfare. In this video I'm going to be showing you guys an in-depth high KD ratio guide, not like any other, so if you can drop a like in the video down below, and if you're watching on Carnage Clan, come check me out at the top of the video description down below, as I will be the first link directing you to the channel of mine which is personal, The Friendly Machine, and I double upload every day, give you guys tips on Infinite Warfare, whether that's in-depth or things you may not know that may not be as in-depth, but are really important to improve your playstyle. So without any further ado, like I said before, this is going to be an in-depth tutorial slash guide on how to get a high KD, a more so very high KD tutorial, but if you're getting high KDs, very high ones, like in the gameplay in the background where I get to 47 KD in some games, then hopefully you can increase that KD boundary in your average games overall to a little bit higher, which I definitely think works out for everyone, because I mean if you're doing better overall then you're going to be doing really good in some games, and then most of the games, well, like I said before, you're doing better overall. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is this class setup. So basically I'm using the raw LMG. The reason I use this is because in Infinite Warfare a lot of the times I find myself in situations where I need to reload, and that's usually where I die, but the raw LMG, it basically just carries like 70 bullets in each magazine if you don't have Scavenger, and that basically entails you not having to reload that much, and it's a very powerful gun as well. It's an LMG but it doesn't really feel like one. The attachments I'm running on this is red dot stock and quick draw, and it kills almost instantly. You're seeing some kills here where I wouldn't even imagine it to kill like that in core. As I'm playing core you can see the crosshairs and you see the minimap consistently and stuff without a UAV going up, even though they are going up quite often, but that's not the point. The point is the raw LMG is not only very reliable in terms of its ammo capacity in each magazine and overall, because usually if you don't have Scavenger you'll only be reloading the gun manually once, it actually automatically replenishes ammo since it's an energy weapon by itself. As you can see, we're on 50 bullets right now, we're going to go up to 51, 52, or wherever you're watching in the gameplay in the background. Just watch it without me reloading. It will just put one bullet or one energy burst slot from my actual magazine that I have yet to reload into my weapon, into my actual magazine in the weapon right now. So it's very useful in terms of that aspect. If you're in a situation where you can't reload and you need to get away from enemies, when you're running away, it will be regenerating ammo. So the next tip I want to give you guys is to use a reliable rig or combat rig or whatever you want to call it, specialist in Infinite Warfare or payload. Personally, I think the claw is the best. I've made a video on my channel just dedicated entirely to the claw and why I think it's the best way to go in terms of your payload in Infinite Warfare, but you could also use the kind of kinetic armor one similar to Black Ops 3. I believe it's for the Merc character, so that's very useful as well in situations if you're getting shot at, you can just pop it on, but it's also very reliable, or more reliable in my opinion, if you're actually getting swarmed by many people, to have a weapon that's so overpowered like the claw, where it's powerful in terms of its damage, but it also bounces bullets off enemies and walls at the same time in order to get you kills, and it kills instantly. Now moving on to the perk slots. So basically if you copied this class identically up until now, I would recommend you not using one of the perks in the first perk tier that I'm running, but I'll tell you what anyway, and then what I'd recommend instead of that. So I'm running Recon, which I definitely do recommend in the first perk tier, as it's like a mini radar for when you maybe don't have a UAV, or you maybe not expecting as many people to be there, or anything like that. Say for a fact if you don't actually notice the sweeping UAV go by and the enemies where they're located, if there's enemies nearby and you kill someone, it'll ping a radar and show and highlight them on the map around that enemy, so you know other people are there. You guys will then know what to do if there's like 5 enemies pinged on the radar nearby. I'd recommend not challenging and let your teammates sort it out, or if you're actually on free-for-all then they're probably going to kill each other anyways. So that's the first perk. The next perk I'm actually using in the first perk tier combined with Recon is Dexterity. If you're copying the class identically like I said before, I wouldn't recommend Dexterity. Why? Because it reloads your gun faster and other stuff like that along those lines, but if you're not confident in terms of the maps, I definitely recommend Ghost over that, because it's kind of useless if you're only going to be reloading once and you actually have all the ADS attachments on like I do, what I'd recommend. So if you do copy the class identically, I wouldn't recommend Dexterity. Use Ghost just simply because, as there's a lot of UAVs in this game, if you guys haven't freaking noticed already, there's a UAV, the counter UAV and the advanced UAV, but the UAV, the 400 point one, the first one you get, is usually used by everybody, and it goes up several times a game, so you want to stay off the map if you're not comfortable with actually outgunning enemies or where they might come from or the spawns of a particular game mode. So I definitely recommend Ghost. In the second perk tier I have Scavenger, simply because, I mean, if I'm going to be actually replenishing ammo through the other magazine in my gun not loaded into it, I want to be gaining my ammo back somehow, because I feel like 140 shots even for an LMG without the Scavenger perk on is not very much at all. So that's why I recommend Scavenger on any class overall. If you're going for deatomizer strikes, you're going to need it unless you get lucky and pick up the exact same gun and have that as your sidearm as well as the gun you're using with the deatomizer strike attachment on. The nuclear attachment that is on the legendary variant, then you're going to be lucky in that aspect, but I wouldn't rely on that, and I wouldn't rely on the fact of picking up other people's guns. Some people go off with other people's guns, so it's personally up to you. I'd recommend either Scavenger. If you haven't unlocked Scavenger, I recommend Hardline, because you always have that, and that's a very important or very useful one to use from the start in the second perk tier slot. And the final perk tier slot, since this game has a lot of maps like Call of Duty Ghost did, where the maps aren't very vibrant in terms of the colour, they have a lot of the same colour blending in with the character's colour, I'd recommend Pinpoint, simply because it's a red outline and you basically are aided in terms of the visual aspect of an enemy when you're shooting them, where they're going, and it's highlighted more, so that's why I'd recommend that. There's not too many good perks in the last tier slot, so that's why Pinpoint is a definite for me. And also the kill streaks, I recommend UAV, Bombardment and Warden, simply because you can actually use these very effectively if you use them right. So say for a fact you go into a house off the spawn in the start of a game in any particular game mode, get the UAV, and then they've spawned somewhere else, you get your Bombardment, then you can clear that area out, and then you have a Warden sweep in the sky. It kind of lets you take out the big cluster areas with a Bombardment, but the Warden is also in the sky, kind of having you back at the same time, since it's buffed since the beta. The last tip I want to give you guys, since the gameplay has come to an end, is to play passive aggressive, meaning only move up when you feel comfortable, since you die very quickly in this game, to a power position like a head glitch, or if you don't know the map, then just play very defensively. So thank you all for watching, slap a like in the video down below, I love all your faces, as usual, peace out.